There's a great new documentary on Netflix called Inside the Manosphere. It is a very fascinating look into the world of influencers who claim to be coaching and teaching young boys how to be proper men. But in reality, these characters are actually just ripping children off. They promise riches and riches, but what they are really about is just taking their money. In this documentary, you have one guy who literally says many times that all he cares about is himself and making money. He's pimping OnlyFans girls for money, and he's selling all kinds of crap just for money. And then he has a bunch of young teenage boys being his fans and adoring him just because he's driving a sports car and living this wildly hedonistic lifestyle, which has nothing to do with being a man or being masculine. Because I don't know about you, but in my opinion, a true man, a good man, leads and inspires and doesn't rip anybody off. A good man does good things. And this guy, the first guy in the documentary, is just literally, he's just plain and simple a bad person, a very bad person. But I'm not here to just bash those guys in the documentary. You can go watch it for yourself and see how crazy those people are. Instead, I wanted to talk about what is the problem with the documentary, what is the problem with, once again, showcasing to millions of ordinary people these very extreme examples of toxic masculinity, which is true. If you watch the documentary, then you know that toxic masculinity sure does exist, even though it is not common at all in my own experience. But anyways, in case you don't know what the manosphere even means, my take would be that manosphere is like the male spaces online. Channels like mine, I started making videos for other men to help other men, mainly with pornography addiction. And then you have other channels who try to teach guys how to make money, how to be more confident, how to find a woman, etc. And then you have spaces for men who want to go their own way. They don't want to have anything to do with women and ever again. They just want to hang out with other men and live their best lives. That's what I would say the manosphere is. Let me know in the comments what you think, because I'm gonna get so many points in this video wrong anyway, I know. So help me out in the comments and please add all the things that I'm gonna miss in this video as I dive into what is the reason why these kinds of toxic masculinity influencers are so popular now. Because that's what the documentary doesn't look into, in my opinion. And that is why it is, in the worst case, a harmful documentary for all the ordinary people who are watching it and they have no idea about any of these things. And then they see these guys, and then the next time they hear the word manosphere, men going their own way, red pill, they think it's all this dangerous, toxic nonsense. And even if you just watch the trailer for the documentary, you can immediately see one of its major flaws. The creator of the documentary goes on to say that these influencers are shaping our culture, when, in my opinion, it is the other way around. The culture has been shaped so that these men have been allowed a platform where they flourish, because there is so much demand for their content, because the culture has been shaped. So it's the other way around. And people usually love to say, well, why don't men just grow a pair? If men are suffering and that's why they go to these extreme figures, these extreme people who are advocating misogyny, advocating exploiting people for profit, why don't men just do better? Why don't men just be better? Well, it is pretty difficult to be better and to do better and to want to be better when the whole world feels like is kicking you down. Because as I have, for example, talked on this channel before, it took me 9 years to find a girlfriend after my first relationship. And while there's many reasons for why that is on me, it's not just that the world is so difficult or whatever, it's because I lacked certain skills, etc. It is still a fact that if a woman is attractive, she will be approached by guys. But me, having gotten multiple comments on this channel that I'm handsome, I'm good looking, etc., which I finally am able to actually recognize, thanks to my girlfriend who tells me that also. But I didn't know that before. You know why I didn't know that before? Because nobody called me handsome. Being a man means that even if you are handsome, you will never know. Even if you are good looking, no one will ever approach you. That's what being a man is like. Now, if you are a man who is short, who is, well, ugly, I don't know if people really are truly ever ugly. There's just different features that are, more handsome, more optimal and whatever. I think if you are a great person, that actually makes you way more attractive. So that's why I just don't want to call people ugly. That's what I'm trying to say. But in any case, if you are a man who has not been blessed with anything, no good looks, no good height, no good background, no good social skills, it's really damn hard. And I know it's hard for women as well who have those same issues. I understand. If a woman isn't pretty, it's not like they're gonna be showered with compliments and, people approaching them. And then if women are pretty, they are approached by all kinds of creepy guys, etc. But I'm not going to talk too much about women here because, ultimately I'm a man and I only understand other men and I try to make content for men. So let people know in the comments, what is your experience as a woman, if you would like to enlighten us. But in any case, as I was trying to say, the dating pool, for example, used to be your local town. And now the dating pool is the whole world. So in the past, at least you had a chance if you lived in a small neighborhood and then you found a woman, you dealt with people in real life, there was no internet, etc., etc. All these things always go back into the past before technology, basically. But even then it wasn't easy for men. But now normal, ordinary men are more invisible than ever. And then as a man, you go online and you see these rich, fit, handsome, tall influencers who are basically getting like 90% of the attention of women online as well. When I was on Tinder, I barely got any matches. I was not good enough on Tinder because I didn't have the money. I don't know what I didn't have. I don't know. But I get very few matches on Tinder when I was using it back in the day. And that's what's missing in the documentary. That's what's missing in a lot of the discussion in, mainstream media, if you will. And then you add to the bitterness of men the fact that there's so much misandry, hatred of men online. The last time I saw misandry was literally today, maybe 2 hours ago or something. I use Instagram for staying in contact with some people and then, sending funny reels to my girlfriend and friends, etc. Just the basic nonsensical scrolling and consumption of content online. Other than that, I don't use anything else. I just make videos on YouTube and post them on YouTube, but I don't really watch YouTube that much these days. But it was on Instagram today, just a couple of hours ago, that I saw a post and I saw the comments and I saw women commenting just how terrible men are, how terrible all men are, how men need to stop doing this and that, and everything is because of men. And then there were, countless women cheering her on, like, yeah, that's right, men are so bad. And that post was not some kind of, fringe, ultra feminist forum or anything like that. It was literally just a random post that happened to, I don't even remember what it was about. And then before that, I think it was like 2 days ago that I saw a similar comment. There's so many comments and so many headlines in mainstream media. Like, as a man, this is just what I feel like. This is not some kind of factual data that there's a ton of this stuff. This is just what I have observed and how I feel, and I'm sure a lot of other guys also do feel that way. That is why there's so many people going to these content creators who are actual genuine misogynists, who do practice actual toxic masculinity. Most men are decent, most men are okay, but they eventually get bitter, and then they go to those guys, and those guys tell them, you know what, you can have the world, you have it in you. Bitter people usually don't have the capacity anymore, the ability anymore to think rationally and to think how to be a good man, how to be a good guy. And then they become misogynistic. It's not that men are by nature terrible. Some men become terrible because the world keeps kicking them down. Anyway, that's enough of a rant for today. I hope you got something out of this. And as I said, I do recommend the documentary very highly. It's very entertaining, also somewhat shocking. But I would just like people to understand that the reason why these guys are so successful, it's really not because it's so easy to think that if you watch somebody like that, there must be something wrong with you. When most guys are actually little boys inside who just did not get the love and attention that they were craving for. Ultimately, everybody's going through some kind of a battle, and we are all victims of all this technology and this world and society evolving too rapidly for us to catch up. That's just my 2 cents. Let everybody know in the comments what you think. I thank you for your time. Please leave a like for the video, for the algorithm, and consider subscribing. Yada, yada, yada. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.